Good evening, people. Welcome back to the channel. Apologies for the no stream earlier today. We decided we'll move it to a different time where it's convenient for all of us. But we're here to talk, obviously, about the sprints that happened today and the qualities that happened as well afterwards. Very eventful day, I must say, as an F1. You know what it is? You don't often watch two events in one day for F1, and we're kind of lucky that we get to see the broadcasting rights of it all. Hopefully, it stays that way. But Augustia, welcome back, bro. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Yesterday, or technically now in Thailand, because it's like 4 in the morning.
Let's just say today, anyways.
No, yeah, yesterday when we started the stream after sprint quali, I said let's go. Today we double down on that. Let's double down go, because that was a masterclass from Sir Lewis Hamilton. That's the reason he was signed for Ferrari, and I think that win was Lewis Hamilton completely personified. We talk about Carlos Sainz being the smooth operator. I think yesterday Lewis Hamilton was the supreme operator, and he showed why. Give him the car. Don't give him a winning car. Just give him a car capable of competing within 1/10, within 2/10, within 3/10. I promise he will turn that car into a championship winning car. So, hey, sprint, that's how the race weekend ended, right? We're not talking about any qualifying. We're not talking about any race. Like, that's how the weekend ended for us. Pole to race win, Lewis Hamilton's second race with Ferrari, a first race win. So what a weekend, guys. And I think we can sign off the stream because one and done for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari.
100%. King, welcome back, bro. Great day for Ferrari up until quali, but how are you doing outside of that?
Oh no, I was happy with the whole day, to be honest. Even quali, quali was where I expected, because I think if you look at the McLarens and the George Russell and Max, they have the capability of putting those kind of laps. But in terms of the sprint race, it was a great moment to see Lewis shut up his haters and actually, show that he still has it in the car. But it was a good sprint race, but it makes tomorrow very interesting in terms for the race, because the tire degradation throughout the sprint race was crazy. It was like everyone was fighting just to keep their car on the track towards the end. So it's going to be a 2-3 stop race, and I think even with qualifying, the race tomorrow is going to be a very tactical one. So it's going to be very interesting. But we'll talk about that and more. But yeah, man, excited to talk Formula One.
I hear it. And Liam, welcome back, bro.
Thank you. I'm pretty much looking forward to the race. I was really happy with the performance of every car, not only McLaren, but Ferrari as well. Also from Mercedes, you can see that Russell was able to get the performance that he needed out of the car to secure P2. But I really have a strong feeling that I think Max is going to win, and we might see either Ferrari or McLaren in the top 5. So we'll see how it pans out tomorrow. Hopefully good things will be the outcome, but yeah.
First of all, me and Auguste would not like to apologize for our stream yesterday, because we both enjoyed the quali celebrations and we had the sprint quali celebration. We ditched both of you, but guess what? We went for half an hour and that's it. I'm kidding. We didn't ditch
short. It was short and sweet.
We just wanted to do a quick stream, that's all. But yeah, but you guys are back now today. Obviously, I want to hear you guys' thoughts of yesterday's quali for the sprints as well, because I think me and Gus already gave our quick thoughts, but Liam, I'll go to you first. Just give your quick thoughts on yesterday's quali, and then yeah.
Well, for Q1, you could see that the Racing Bulls were not as strong, and Yuki was struggling with grip upon the track because of the temperatures on track, and the degradation was kind of high at that moment. But mostly the teams during that, for qualifying, for those people who are new to F1, when a team goes through qualifying, it gives them the opportunity to collect data that they need for the race, to see which teams will use what tire, how the car will react to which turn, where the braking points are, and to tell the drivers where to brake and where to accelerate, and whether there's going to be a chance of rain or whether it's going to be a safety car. But in this case, I think I was really impressed with how Lewis performed and Charles Leclerc performed. Also, I was kind of disappointed to see the fact that Max did not get first place, but I was really amazed by Ferrari's performance in qualifying. So it was a really good qualifying for me. At least Q3, but Q2 was not so bad. But I liked it.
Hold up, Liam. Can I interrupt real quick? I just have to address the elephant in the room. Liam, you started off the season as a McLaren fan. Today you're a Ferrari fan, and you just said you're disappointed that Max Verstappen wasn't.
Not just that's just analysis. It's called analysis for a reason. He said, Liam, what do you think about qualifying? If he said, what do you think about your team McLaren, then I would emphasize on why I switched to Ferrari. But there you go. I just said the other elephant in the room. Let's just say that.
Says in brackets Ferrari fan though. That's all I have to do.
Yeah, man, dude, it took you a race to swap, and your former team, the Papaya, are gonna get a 1-2 win tomorrow. So.
No, they won't. Trust me, they won't. It's not gonna happen.
But
it's not gonna happen.
But you just gave your thoughts on the sprint race or today's qualifiers? You mean
qualifying?
Which one? The sprint qualifying?
Yeah.
King, I want to hear your thoughts on the sprint qualifying as well. Just quick thoughts, and then we'll on to today. Obviously, you guys weren't on yesterday, but me and Gus here were just talking about it. But I want to know your quick thoughts. Just like give you a quick 2-minute recap on it.
It was an epic lap together by Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. I would say this though. I think if Norris never made the mistake, he would have been P1. So I think the thing that I noticed is that there was some issues with the McLaren in terms of drivability that allowed them not to get the kind of pace that we're expecting from them. Because for the foreseeable, every race you're expecting McLarens to be the 1 and 2 in terms of qualifying. And if there's an outlier, that's because they've made a mistake, and Norris made a mistake. But I'm happy that Lewis showed that he still has the speed. I was disappointed with Charles. I think he should have done more with what he had.
He should have gotten past George Russell, man. At the end of the day.
Oh yeah. Definitely about that, but in terms of qualifying, disappointed in what he did in terms of P4. Max is still outperforming the car. I think the car isn't that good. I just think he's that. For me, this is very similar to when Alonso was in Ferrari and the car wasn't that good. The driver is propelling the car to places he shouldn't be, as you can see with the other driver not being able to get past SQ1. So it shows that one, the car is suited to his style, but he's driving at a level which allows him to still get into SQ3. The racing balls look really racy. I think between them and Williams is going to be the best of the rest, but they can even push McLaren and Red Bull even to their positions as well, because both of those teams, especially Red Bull, only actually have one driver performing. Kimi performed better today. Hadjar bounced back really well from the last week's disappointment. And yeah, I think overall I would say this. Respect to Lance Stroll, even though I don't like him as a driver, and I think he's the worst driver on the grid. He's performing well, so I'm just gonna give him props where props is due. He's doing well with the Aston Martin, and they seem to be the 7th car in terms of that list. And to get SQ3 as well for him, it's better than he mostly does. So I'm gonna respect him for now. But outside of that, yeah, I just happy for Lewis. Really, I think it's about time people respect him. People have said a lot about him in regards to his time at Mercedes, but Mercedes has been poor ever since in this era. To be honest, I think they've been a terrible car, and I think right now he has a car that can compete. And when you give him a car that competes, like Augustia said, he will show you how good he is. So yeah. But that's how I felt about sprint quali overall. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Fair enough. Look, as for the sprints though, like I'll give my quick review on it. Lewis Hamilton, right, from start to finish, from the very very start. Look, he started off with, like, probably you could have asked for an amazing start. You could have asked for a better start from Lewis Hamilton. Like, he just pulled away from Max Verstappen from the get go. He probably, like, in my opinion, like in the latter 7-8 laps within the race, it was 0.2 gap between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. It was like the eighth race. It's like eighth lap or ninth lap, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of those laps. I think it was getting close. But hey, do you know what? Do you know one thing I'll give credit to Max Verstappen for is at the start he was kind of warming up his tires, and then towards like let's say the latter laps, he actually got close to Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton was complaining a bit with the with the front wing, if I'm not mistaken, like with the front left wing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they made if I can up to interrupt Ferrari, they made a slight mistake with the adjustment of the front wing. They didn't adjust it to the setting that he put on on his setup screen. So he was slightly mad at the mechanics about that. So
yeah, it was the front left wing at some point in the race where Lewis Hamilton was struggling with, but then when Oscar Piastri was on around the back of Max Verstappen, like when he was right within a second of him, I think that's when Max Verstappen started to feel the pressure and he crumbled, and that's where I think Max Verstappen needs to maybe look at himself, be like, okay, I didn't do well at that part. However, Lewis Hamilton prevailed, and do you know what? From lap 11, lap 12, I was thinking, should I text Augustia saying we're laps away from history here? I was so tempted. I was like, I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want him to crash out or anything. Then I was like, okay, it's 7 seconds, it was like 7 seconds almost. We're a few laps away from history. The guy just blitzed everyone apart. Completely blitzed the whole race today. Like, he was immense from lap 12. Pulled away with he was way ahead of everyone. Like, just far better than the rest today. I have to give credit where it's due. As a Ferrari fan myself, look, obviously, over the years, us Ferrari fans have been disappointed and have been let down by a lot off the circuit and off the track and everything. Us Ferrari fans, we all want to hope for the best. We all want to have this delusion. Oh, Ferrari going to be champions. Like, it's not going to happen anytime soon. However, you got to give credit where it's due. I didn't expect Lewis Hamilton to be, to hit the mark, and to I didn't expect him to, sort of get off the mark in the second race of the year. And this is one of the most important parts, because like me and Augustia alluded to yesterday, the point system in the sprints is so important. And we did go over the points. Like, Charles Leclerc finished what, 5th or 6th? I think around 6th, 5th. He finished in like 6th. So that's
right behind Russell.
That's 11 points in total, right? I did tell you, Augusta, yesterday that I would have loved a total combined of 12 points from Ferrari yesterday. I would have liked a 7 and a 5. I didn't expect Lewis Hamilton to blitz the race. I said a 7 and a 5 for two of the drivers would be perfect. I said 12 points would be amazing. And you know what? Hey, we're 1 point off. And that's the best I could have asked for. Like, to win the sprints, like, that's the best I could have asked for. That's something that I didn't expect. Well, I gave my predictions yesterday. We said Lewis Hamilton. I said Verstappen to come second. Then I said Oscar Piastri. King also, in the comments yesterday, he mentioned that in the sprints or in the race, there's not going to be many straights. It's gonna benefit Ferrari. And yes, Max Verstappen was right behind Ferrari. Of course, I understand that. But in the straights, Ferrari was just unbelievable in the straights. Nobody could catch him. Nobody could catch Ferrari in the straight, especially Lewis Hamilton in the straights. He was unbelievable. Like, his car was way too quick in the straights. And that's what I think tomorrow, if Lewis Hamilton can sort of, get within DRS range early into the race of maybe, let's say, the top 4, top 3, we could be in for a good race tomorrow. We could definitely be in for a good race tomorrow. And trust me when I say the dry conditions are starting to show that drivers are showing their full potential. Like I said last week, you can't go the full, because obviously it's a wet race. It's not going to be easy to race on. However, in dry settings like this, in dry conditions, right? When you're racing on the medium compound tires, like I said, like I've been saying on streams constantly, that Ferrari's best strategy is to start with the medium tires and to go from there. And it proves my point that Ferrari are just better on the medium tires. It just proves my point even more. So start tomorrow off strong, and we could be we could be in for an interesting race. King, I'll go to you next, obviously, because since you're the Ferrari fan as well.
Mhm.
I want to know from what I said and from what you thought. What do you think of today's race, and how are you feeling? And go off of what I said as well, and just give your thoughts, my friend. Floor is yours.
It would, in terms of the sprints, it was a good win for Lewis. I think he needed it in terms of he needed to tell people how good he was or still is, because a lot of people were doubting him. In regards to the race, the thing that he was lucky that he was able to keep ahead in the first corner, because he had something that no other driver had, which was clean air. And because of the tire deg in this racetrack is so difficult, it meant that every car behind him, anytime a car came close to him, especially Max, he was using too much of the tire, meaning that especially the front lefts, you could see the graining in Max's car. That's why he pulled back towards the end of the race. So Lewis was very good at first keeping the tires in a good condition, making sure he had a good start so that he was in front. He had clean air, so he had no issues to deal with. It was just about keeping enough distance between him and Max and making sure that he's not close enough behind you to overtake with DRS. So he was very clever in the terms of having Max behind him, but not close enough to do anything so that it ruins his tires, and he makes sure his tires are fine as well. And you could see that it led to Max losing a place to Oscar Piastri because his tires were gone by the end of the race. And the race was a couple of laps more, I think Leclerc could have finished third, because I think he would have passed both George and Max, because their tires were shot to their tires were
as well.
done.
Sorry to interrupt you, bro. I forgot to mention as well in my point. Yes, Charles Leclerc, I think he could have done better. That's what I think. That's what I think was missing from today's sprint. I thought Charles Leclerc should have and overtaken George Russell. I think that would have been the most perfect way to end today's race, to finish on 12 points. 8 and 4 was the best. Like I said, 12 points combined was the best thing that could have happened to us today, because we are so far behind the rest from the start. But yeah, Charles Leclerc, I think should have done better. I hope tomorrow. You just never know, but we'll see. But sorry, continue what you're saying, man. I just wanted to get that point across.
Oh yeah, no problem. What was I saying? In regards to Charles, I think his mistake was letting George pass him in the first lap, because once you're behind a car like that, especially considering George was much slower than the three in front of him, it made a gap. So even if he did get past George at any point in the second half of the race where he was catching him up, it was going to be very difficult for him to get any further. But I think in terms of drivability of the car and in terms of the tire degradation, I think the Ferraris were the best in terms of keeping their tires on point, especially Lewis. I think what it showed is that in the race, Max is going to have to be more careful with his tires, because the way that those tires fell off, I don't see him winning the race if he pushes the tires to that limit, especially if they start on medium tires. They need to get off mediums probably very soon. It's probably going to be a medium hard race, but just because of how bad the tire deg is, and whoever is in front is going to have an advantage with clean air. So I think Lewis did really well, making sure he stayed in clean air, made sure Max stayed behind him, and didn't allow for him to overtake him in DRS. And it was a smooth operation from Lewis. And there's not much else I can really say, because I think as I said, he was lucky in the fact that Norris got Norris did two things in the start of the race. First, he in terms of quali, he got his lap wrong, and then in the race, he made another mistake, and he dropped about three more positions. So, even with him, it was very hard for him to pass in this track. So it's a track that it's very hard to pass. Tire deg is terrible, so it's gonna be one of those races where it's gonna be about attrition of the tire and making sure that you're very smooth with the tire and being able to go longer in your stints than other cars. If you're able to keep the tires for longer, then you'll be able to have less pit stops, saving more time. So I think it shows that for the race tomorrow, it's about who's the best with their tires. And I think Ferrari are really good with their tires at the moment. I don't think the Red Bull or Mercedes are. And McLaren, I'm not sure 50-50 on them. I think they were good in the middle of the race, but fell away towards the end. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But it kind of gives you the deal that medium tires aren't going to be the tire for tomorrow. So it was a good win for Lewis. I'm happy for him. I'm excited that he's got that off his bucket list. He's won with Ferrari because now he doesn't have to think about that kind of thing anymore. And for me, if he gets the car needed, I think he's one of the best drivers on the track. I think when it comes to elite drivers, I think there's only 3 out of the 20, him, Alonso, and Verstappen. And when you put them in the position to win, they're going to win every time. And that's what he did. So that's all I've got to say.
Speaking of smooth operation, Carlos Sainz.
Rough operator. The rough operation, right?
Unfortunately. But it is what it is, man.
Can I just add something real quick, Ekevin?
I'll just say this point and I'll let you go, man. Yeah. I'm sorry, King, but the fact that he used smooth operation for Lewis, not having it. not having it. Sorry. I just really like Carlos Sainz, man.
No, I agree.
He's an OG smooth operator, man. So.
No. Ekevin, I agree with you. Lewis doesn't deserve smooth operator. He's better than that, man. He's the supreme operator. He's the best of the best, man. Don't disrespect Lewis. He's better than smooth. But no, I just want to. I'll just continue real quick.
No, go on.
Yeah, I'll piggyback to what King was saying. I'll just spit some facts really quickly. Yes, you mentioned the 3 drivers, the big 3, Verstappen, Alonso, Hamilton, the only world champions on this grid. You're right. On pure ability, gun to the head, they are the 3 best drivers. On any given condition, on any given circuit, I trust them more than everybody else, particularly because of this. But aside from that, the best driver in the grid today is Max Verstappen, and it's not even close. I guarantee you, I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. Give him a Haas. Give him a Kick Sauber, American Express, Visa Cash App, whatever that car is. I promise he will somehow find a way to elevate that into Q3 because that's who Max is. Now, King, tomorrow you made a very good point about tire degradation. And Ekevin, you talked about the front left. Yes, tire degradation is going to be big tomorrow. Shanghai, humidity is hot. The track as well. Everyone's tires seem to degrade very quickly. And then add the fact that we haven't seen the hard runs yet. Tomorrow we're going to see the mediums. And yes, Ferrari's race pace seemed to be the best because they managed their tires better than the rest. And also, again, in the sprint race, as you both rightfully pointed out, Charles Leclerc should have at least finished 4th, if not 3rd. So on the mediums, Ferrari seemed to be the quickest. But on the hards, we don't know. It's anyone's ball game. There is no blueprint. There is no data to consolidate on. So again, it could be the McLarens. It could be the Ferraris. We don't know. But point being, tomorrow, what's going to be really big is tire management. And if there's anyone in the world that I trust with tire management, it's Lewis Hamilton. Because yes, Max Verstappen may be the best driver on the grid today. Yes, he may be the 4-time consecutive champion. But Lewis Hamilton has historically and recently, his tire management has been better than the rest. And yesterday's race, Ekevin, is case in point of that, right? Because we can talk about Max's tires degrading. We can talk about Piastri's tires degrading, but the pace difference isn't that much. No team had a significant or superior pace difference. And I guarantee you, if Piastri or Verstappen managed their tires as well as Hamilton, things could have been potentially different. Obviously, when you're in clean air as Lewis Hamilton, and when you're first,
maybe because you're racing the sprints is full pace. So I think that's why Lewis Hamilton sort of benefited from it.
Sure, but it goes back to what you said, Ekevin. You said around lap 8, lap 9, Hamilton. Right behind him was Verstappen. I think Verstappen was 2 tenths behind him. Verstappen was on the of Lewis Hamilton. That was actually calculated, by the way. After the race, Fred Vasseur said he purposely did that. Hamilton purposely did that because he wanted to drain Verstappen's tires. So again, it's the mastermind. It's the genius behind Lewis Hamilton. Similar to Carlos Sainz in Singapore. But that's what Lewis Hamilton does, right? He manages his tires and he's very composed. And with Lewis Hamilton, it's also about first impressions. When he went to Melbourne, from the moment he got in that car, he was nervous, or maybe not nervous, he was uncomfortable. He was unfamiliar with the setup and the surroundings of this completely new system, right? Because remember, Lewis Hamilton's been a McLaren driver for 30 years, or at least driven McLaren engines for 30 years. This was the first time he was at the Scuderia. So already just one race later, to see him be more comfortable, confident, and you knew from the moment he stepped foot in that car, he was going to command this Grand Prix. And tomorrow, I think the McLarens are the quickest in terms of pure pace, but tire degradation and the start will be crucial in determining who wins.
Yeah, and I also mentioned that. So I'll let Liam. Yeah, sorry I interrupted you, Augusta. Yeah, if you wanted to continue your point earlier as well, continue your point. I wanted to mention as well that Lewis Hamilton decided to save his tires for the latter stages, because that's when he knew that Max Verstappen was going to be right behind him. He was like not 1/10. It was like, how would you say it? 1.5 seconds ahead at one point, and then it was like it was close towards like lap 8, lap 9. Then Lewis knew that, okay, he can hold off Max here. He knows he can hold off Max. He was defending his lead brilliantly today. I thought he was unbelievable. Then that's when he knew Max Verstappen's tires were sort of starting to, wear out in terms of the sprint race, right? Then Lewis Hamilton said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to blow everyone out of the water. And that's what he did. He won the race by a landslide. It wasn't even close. It was a landslide. It was like how would you say it? Like 8 seconds ahead. It was like 8 seconds ahead of the whole group. So no, that's all I gotta say about that. And you're right when you say Alonso, Hamilton, and Verstappen are the three best drivers in the grid. I agree with you. If you give Alonso the Ferrari, he's unbelievable. Fernando Alonso is a true legend to the game. And as a Michael Schumacher fan myself, I can't help but admit that Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso was one of the best rivalries back then. It's got to be one of the best rivalries in F1 history. Has to be, up until a certain point, and then unfortunate events happened, and yeah. But Liam, I want to go to you next. Sorry to keep you waiting, Majid, but I want to know your thoughts on the whole thing. Obviously, from what me, King, and Augustia said, and obviously give your standpoint as well as to Lewis Hamilton's win. Just a brief recap of the race, of the sprint race as a whole.
Well, in the sprint race, you could see that Hamilton at the beginning of the sprint was getting already multiple seconds advantage over the drivers behind him. You could see that his tires were already getting grip compared to other drivers who had immediate lockups immediately into turn 2 going into turn 3 and 4. But throughout the race, you could see that intentionally on purpose, adding to on what Augustus said, that he on purpose was brake testing Max Verstappen because he wanted to drain his tires to a point where Max could tell to the team that I can't keep up with him anymore. I have to either stop or I need to slow down. And the key point behind that is that when Fred told him on the radio that either you have to keep going or you drain Max's tires, he did that deliberately just to ruin the sprint race for Max, and you can see that it worked. But overall, I was also impressed with the rookies, Isaac Haijar, Jack Doohan, and Kimi Antonelli, Gabriel Portoletto. They were also performing pretty well, but overall, I was pretty proud of the way Lewis was performing, and I think he was also happy because he hasn't won a race when he was with Mercedes and also quite in a long time, so he was happy that Ferrari's car was able to deliver that to him during that sprint race. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say for this. Sorry.
So Liam, if McLaren win tomorrow, are you going back to the papaya?
No comment.
No comment. Okay. So that's a yes. We'll see you back with your.
That doesn't mean a yes. It was a confident no comment.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, don't you? We'll see about that.
I completely agree with everything you said, Liam. And speaking of Liam, your namesake, what's up with your namesake? Since he's joined Red Bull, he's failed to make it out of Q1, rock bottom yesterday. There is no excuse. There hasn't been any incidents that have been plaguing him. And yes, I understand with that Red Bull car, it is tailored to Max Verstappen's needs, but I'm sorry. Even if it is tailored to Max Verstappen's needs, that gap is reprehensible. It's indefensible. But what I will say about the second Red Bull car is, have you guys ever heard of Alex Albon's explanation of it? King,
Yeah.
have you heard it? Ekevin, have you heard it? I thought so. The way Alex Albon described the second Red Bull car is, we all know the first Red Bull car, the Red Bull car is designed for Max. It's designed for Max's needs. Max is a very aggressive driver, but when a car is designed for a certain driver, it completely undermines the setup for the second driver. So, Alex Albon described it like this. Ekevin, you play games, right? Do you know what sensitivity in a game is? Like how quick your mouse is, how slow your mouse is, how quick it's moving. So basically, when a car is tailored towards a certain driver's needs, that's like changing the sensitivity. So every second driver in Red Bull, they're playing at Max's settings. They're playing at Max's sensitivity. So they inherently have a disadvantage. However, that disadvantage does not justify being lost on the grid, because that Red Bull is still the fourth quickest car in the grid. So I don't know. King, I'm sure you feel ever so more confident about your declaration that Lawson will be replaced mid-season, right?
But yeah, I want to add to that. The reason why I said it is because the reason why I said that Liam's going to be gone, or at least not gone, he's going to be downgraded to Racing Bulls, because Racing Bulls is an easier car to drive. Plus, you need a second driver who's aggressive, just like Max. The one person that I see is an aggressive driver, just like Max, is Yuki. So I think it would have been better for Red Bull to get Yuki in the car, because he's aggressive, because he is the kind of driver that drives a similar style to Max. And the only other kind of drivers you can put with Max are elite drivers, or drivers that are super aggressive like Yuki. So you could have put a Yuki, you could have put a Carlos, you could have even maybe gone for a Valtteri Bottas.
Understand why Red Bull didn't even go for Carlos Sainz, but the guy was right there. The contract the contract just had to be given, and that was it. Carlos Sainz was going to the Red Bull, bro, because he's coming off a Ferrari car who was literally so close to winning a constructors championship, right? Imagine him and Max Verstappen as a pairing. You could argue that's the second best pairing in the whole grid.
But the question is here, sorry to interrupt, but the question is here, why exactly did they choose Liam Lawson? What was the reasoning they chose Liam Lawson? Did they think he was suited for the car, or did they just choose him? Oh, he wasn't in Formula One last year, so we're going to put him in our car and let's see what he can do. Because if you're going to have a driver and kick him out mid-season, then what's the point of having a driver in the first place that you don't even want anymore mid-season?
Maybe they thought that, to be Checo Perez's replacement.
But I have an idea of why that happened, though.
I want to hear you, but Liam, you just asked a really basic and fundamental question, but that might be the most important question I've ever heard. Seriously, what was Red Bull's incentive behind Liam Lawson? Because he doesn't generate as much revenue commercially. He's not Asian. It doesn't align with the board's interest. Obviously, Yuki, a big market in Japan. Carlos Sainz, we know his appeal globally. He's revered by everyone, especially millennials, Gen Z, Drive to Survive fans. Girls love him as well. So I don't really know what the allure behind picking Liam Lawson was. I don't get it. It makes no sense.
I actually asked that question. Why didn't go for Carlos Sainz? I'm still it still baffles me. Like, why didn't he go for Carlos Sainz, bro? As much as I don't want to see Carlos Sainz leave Ferrari and go to a Red Bull, but the offer was right there. Going for a young driver like Liam Lawson, bro. I can't lie. I know I'm going off topic, but I really like Kimi Antonelli. I think he's actually proving to be a top driver in that Mercedes. And he's definitely looking. I don't know, and I know I'm speaking 2 races in, but he's definitely looking like Rookie of the Year. He is looking like he's the Rookie of the Year. So, but yeah, back to my point is like, I kind of think that they wanted to replace Checo Perez with a younger version of him. Maybe they think that he's a younger version of Checo Perez, but I'm sorry to say this, Checo Perez was massively overrated. He was massively overrated. So, Liam Lawson for me, like, I think he has the potential to be a really good driver in the future, 100%. But the pressure on the kid is way too much at this stage. I think he definitely could have been racing in like a Williams or something. I think him in a Williams over Carlos Sainz at the moment would be better in terms of his development. Because look, Carlos Sainz should not be in a Williams. I'm just gonna say this straight up. He should not be in a Williams. He's way too good for that car. Carlos Sainz is way too good to be racing in a Williams, in my opinion at least. I think he should be racing in like a Red Bull or a McLaren at best, right now, or even a Mercedes, or even a Mercedes. I go as far as say even a Mercedes, even though Kimi Antonelli is doing a really good job right now, I go as far as to say Carlos Sainz should be racing in one of those cars. And you never know when Cadillac comes in, maybe when Audi comes in, Carlos Sainz probably be getting that contract. I genuinely think they might be offering Carlos Sainz a contract. Genuinely, I think they might, because they know Carlos Sainz's potential. They know what his potential is like. They know how good of a driver he is. He can definitely race in the top car. But my question is like, going to the Williams at this stage of your career, when you've got such a bright future ahead of you, it's not right for me. It's not right for me. I just don't think so. But sorry, I just wanted to get that point in. Obviously, I think whose turn was it to talk to now? Was it Augustia? Was it your turn to talk to now?
No, I've got something to say on the whole thing.
Go on, Ken,
If I
go on.
can.
Augustia, you finished the point, yeah?
Have you finished your point, Agassia?
Yeah. My point was I wanted to hear what you felt.
All right,
That was
fair
my
enough.
point.
Fair enough. Go
Okay.
on.
In terms of the Carlos Sainz to Williams, I think it makes sense because historically they are one of the great kind of cars, and if he is able to bring them back to the top, that is something that you can put on your bucket list as a historical fact that you brought back Williams. Also, the reason why I don't think Carlos would have accepted Red Bull is because in Red Bull, the second driver is the second seat. There is no chance for you to go for the championship because the car is built for Max, the team is built for Max. It's all about Max, and you can tell that they don't put an elite driver next to him because they don't want someone who can compete with him. The other issue I think they didn't pick Yuki is because they're trying to get away from their relationship with Honda, and I think Yuki being the Japanese driver, the Honda, that kind of stuff. But they made a mistake with that because they looked at the optics of it all by putting in Liam, but Liam isn't the better driver than Yuki, and I think Yuki would have suited the car more, and you can see it as well. And I think Liam is gonna have a lot of issues with the car going forward because one, I don't think he's good enough. Two, I think he should have probably stayed at Racing Bulls for one more year. And it's been about 700 days since he outqualified Yuki, and he's in the better car, supposedly. So for me, I think it's just a thing of Yuki is the more driver, so you have to put someone with a bit of experience in that second Red Bull because it's a very difficult car to be a part of. You need to be Max's rear gunner. You need to have that kind of same kind of attitude to driving that Yuki does. And I think for Liam Lawson, he's just in a bad situation. Similar with Albon, similar with Gasly. I like to look at Red Bull second driver as I just call him second driver because it doesn't really matter who his name is. He's going to be replaced by halfway through the season, and he's not going to be treated the same way Max is. So if you're going to be the second driver, at least have someone who can help him. But having a person not getting past Q1 for 3 times in a row is not good enough. You need a rear gunner. You need someone who's at least in the top 10 or around you, because then if you're going for a championship, you need someone that can block off a McLaren, block off a Ferrari, cause them to have problems in these type of races. But if you look at it, he's the only one who's on his own. Mercedes have 2 up there, McLaren have 2 up there, Ferrari have 2 up there. They can strategize between the 2 cars and decide which one is going to be the one to get the benefits of things. But if you don't have a rear gunner there to help, you might as well not have him on the grid if you're Red Bull being 20th. That doesn't help you at all, especially on a track that you can't overtake. So I think there's been a lot of turmoil, as Augustia said in previous weeks, in the Red Bull team and their system. And I think because of that, there's a lot of different voices wanting different things for the car. Even the fact when they talked about Hadjar last week, when Marco talked about Hadjar and the way he talked about him, for me, is very disrespectful. That's your young driver. You have to be, understand that he's going to be upset if he makes a mistake like that. And you see him now, and he's performing well. And for me, both your Racing Bull drivers are in Q3, and Liam Lawson can't get out of Q1 in both SQ and in the sprint qualifying, this qualifying and last qualifying. So both your Racing Bull drivers are doing better than the main car. that's a problem. And if that continues to happen, that adds to the narrative and that adds more questions to Christian Horner and the team and adds more murkiness in the background, or like, did we make the right choice? So, and it's not good for Max as well, because it's going to be him versus the world. And let's be honest, as great of a driver he is, he's going up against teams with two elite level drivers in Ferrari and McLaren, and in Mercedes with George and in Kimi, who's shown that he's of that level and could be even better than that level as well. So it's going to be a problem for Red Bull that they need to solve sooner rather than later, the Liam issue. And if they don't, I think they would have scrapped the last chance for them to win a constructors for the foreseeable, because I don't think they're going to be there or thereabouts next season. I think you're going to look at the Aston Martins, the Williams, even the teams that are changing their names, the Audis, the Ferraris, the Mercedes, as teams to take over from the Red Bull dominance era. So it's a terrible way to end, to be honest. And I think I don't see Max or Red Bull winning the constructors or the drivers' championship this season, because the car's not good enough, and the second driver is not going to help him either. So, yeah, if this continues, it's going to be a long season for Max and Red Bull.
Yeah, I agree. And can I just add a bit onto what King said? I think the best case scenario for Red Bull in the short term till the end of this season is you somehow manage to minimize the damage over these first 10 races of the season. Because let's be honest, guys, we can talk about this being the greatest season ever, but on most tracks, McLaren are in a league of their own. They're the best on quali. They're the best on the race day. Even just this weekend, King, you made the point. It was driver error. Sure, it was a mega lap from Lewis Hamilton. It was Herculean Hamilton, whatever you want to call it. But Lando Norris has made 3 errors. He made an error in the sprint. He lost places at the beginning of his lap. And in both qualifying sessions, there was time to gain. There was time to make up. And the only reason they didn't succeed was because those first 3 turns, they didn't understand the tire temperature, as they all said, and Lewis Hamilton managed to optimize his output and setup. So again, the McLarens, there is time to gain. This is driver error, and tomorrow, if they can just manage their tires at an 80%, they should win this race comfortably. Piastri should convert his first pole to a victory. Lando Norris should finish second. It should be a 1 and 2. But I think in the short term, going back to my Red Bull point, because I weaved, I think that Red Bull, your best case scenario is that either you replace Liam Lawson at the halfway point of the season if he doesn't reach a certain threshold, because you can't replace him yet. You have to wait till the halfway point, I think, at least, unless obviously over the next few weekends he is rock bottom every weekend, which by that means that's Eric Ten Hag level, that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer level, that's untenable level. So I think halfway point, see the threshold that he's at, a certain amount of points he should reach. I think he should be 8th. Realistically, by the halfway point, if he's not close to 8th place in the drivers, axe him. There's no excuse. I'm so sorry. Even though the sister team, the beautiful white team, the best car in the grid, Ekevin, you still need to get new glasses, because those white sister Red Bull cars are beautiful. They are beautiful. They're sexy. They're glorious. They're gorgeous, man. They're one of a kind. Even though they're quick, yeah, you need to axe them. But the best case scenario is Liam Lawson gets acclimated, and in the second half, Red Bull somehow miraculously managed to subvert their trajectory and build a car that can make them capable of competing with McLaren, which I do believe they can get within 2-3 tenths of McLaren. And then, King, you mentioned that Max Verstappen is a solo runner. I think that can unironically also play to his advantage, because, again, Lando and Oscar are both going to want to win the World Championship. McLaren are not going to pick either or if they're close, and neither are Ferrari. I don't see Ferrari picking either or. I think the plan is 1 week Hamilton, 1 week Leclerc in terms of priority. So Max Verstappen, unironically, because he's a solo runner, Liam Lawson can be the Checo Perez mole. He can play that role again and basically try his best to be a Poundland version of Checo Perez. But at the end of the day, yeah, that Red Bull car is looking pretty iffy at the moment. It's in a downward position, and it doesn't seem like that trend's going to reverse anytime soon.
Yeah, back then we had Schumacher and Kimi Räikkönen, and now we had now we had Max Verstappen and Checo Perez, and now potentially we have Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. So it's going to be interesting to see 2 drivers in the same car compete against each other, if that's the case going forward. But obviously, I'll go to Liam next. just continue from what the lads were saying, mate. Just continue from and give your other thoughts as well.
Well, as they were saying, for me, back to continuing on what Augusta was saying on Liam Lawson, the reason I think that they were selecting him because, as you said, Kevin, he is basically not, I wouldn't say younger version of Checo Perez, but I think they chose him because he had a similar mentality to what Checo Perez had when he was in the Red Bull car. And that's what interested them to purchase him as a driver and make a contract with him, not only because of his mentality, but also because they could see how he was performing in Formula 2, also how he was performing when he was driving in F1 last time. But I think the main reason why they chose him is because they think that he can provide something for the team that Checo Perez couldn't provide when he was racing for them in his last 3 races last season. But overall, I think Liam Lawson still has a lot to prove to Christian Horner, that he says, I'm here to stay and I can show you that the money that you invested in me is going to be used really well and that I'm not going to let you down. And also he's going to try to support Max in a way, even though we know that Max runs solo, but every F1 team needs a teammate. So, but I think he's going to be there. What I would want Liam Lawson to do is to learn from Max in terms of how to drive, the mentality, how to attack, how to conserve tires, how to prevent DNFs from happening from his car. But overall, I think that it's going to be a pretty good race, but I'm kind of concerned for Liam Lawson in terms of if he keeps going out like this, getting disappointed at every single thing in action that he creates for himself, then I think it's not going to be good on Christian's side of deciding to select Liam Lawson as a driver for the team.
I agree with you. It depends on the DRS who benefits from it early on. Like, because if Lewis Hamilton benefits from it early on tomorrow, we just never know. It can be a different race. It could be different outcomes. It could be different scenarios tomorrow. But I think that's all I think we have for the sprint. Unless anyone wants to add anything, I think we'll move on to the qualifiers.
I do want to add a few things.
Yeah, go on, King. Go
on. I would like to say that the Aston Martin looks very racy in this week. So I don't know if it's a one-off thing, but they look good. So it'll be interesting to see.
We've seen it last season in a couple of races last year, I think, or in a few races the year before that Aston Martin were doing something. But yeah, sorry, go on, mate.
Be interesting to see who's the best of the rest in terms of the racing bulls, the Aston Martins and the Williams. Obviously, I'm disappointed with Sainz. He had a poor qualifying and has been poor this weekend compared to Albon. So I think he needs to improve in his new car. Needs to see more from him. But outside of that, I think Rookie of the Year is going to be Hadjar from the Racing Bulls rather than Kimi, because I feel like, for me, in terms of the level of car he's in, to be able to get Q3s and to be able to compete with Yuki as well is showing me a higher level than Kimi, because I think Kimi has an advantage of being in the better car, being in one of the front runners, and sometimes when you're an assister team to even outperform other drivers, especially the fact that he came back from the incident last week. He performed well this weekend. So sometimes if you get like a low, it's easy to be in your shell and not perform. But he's performing and he looks good. So I think Hadjar's got to be one to watch out for. And you know what? It may not even be Yuki. It might be him that takes the seat from Liam Lawson, because them two racing bulls look good. I ain't gonna lie to you, they look really good at the moment, and the car looks racy. So be exciting.
Fair enough. Good points there you made, but on the Aston Martin thing, I don't think it's a one-off. I think we've seen it before last year in a couple of races or a few races last year that Aston Martin have been somewhat of a problem in some races. But I think we'll move on to the qualifiers now. Anyone want to start with the qualifiers? Anyone want to start with because Augusta, you want to start off? King, Liam, you want to start off the qualifiers?
George, you can start if you want.
Yeah, I mean, again, Oscar Piastri, kudos to him. Calm, composed, collected. I think he, just as Hamilton, has been a level above their teammates this week. They've just been more confident. They feel the track much better. They feel more comfortable here. And again, yesterday, Lewis Hamilton set the fastest lap record in Shanghai. Today, Oscar Piastri did that. So we're getting progressively faster and more comfortable into the weekend. What I would say is, I think the Ferraris both had time to unlock. If I'm not mistaken, I think Hamilton was 2 tenths behind his lap in the sprint quali compared to the quali yesterday. So Hamilton had time to gain. There were a couple mistakes that could have been avoided. And all the drivers on their last runs in Q3 were slower, with the exception of Piastri. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened personally, but I think quali, based on quali, the favorites for tomorrow would be McLaren because they are the quickest constructor, and they need to get their race start very precise. They cannot fumble the beginning because last week, as much as we lauded Lando Norris for defeating his demons and being able to hold his composure, race start, safety car start, this week, all 3 times, whether it's quali where he should have converted a pole, he should have had at least 1 pole, or the sprint, he has managed to tumble. And he has basically, again, opened up his demons. He's been susceptible to them again. So I think tomorrow race start will be pivotal. McLaren's are the favorite. And on Max, can we just add, we've been talking about the second Red Bull being the second driver, which harsh but factual, King. You're right. We just talk about Max 1 second because I really don't think we're appreciating how good of a driver Max Verstappen is right now. Because to be 4th above those Ferraris, which are clearly better than you, I think the Mercedes are also better than the Red Bull as well because they have pace. George Russell might be the most confident driver on the grid because at any given moment, he can shoe up a surprise and be on the front row or even win a race. He ended the season in the richest vein of form. He's starting off this season flying high. I mean, as Crofty says on commentary, we don't see George Russell a lot on the TV, on the main comms, because he's usually racing his own race. He's not quick enough to compete with the McLarens, but he's quick enough to get a qualifying pole if, again, a couple mistakes here or there. So I think tomorrow, based on qualifying, it will be a McLaren 1 and 2, and probably a Russell Verstappen 3 or 4. But Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton, you have to get off to a good start as well.
Also, the George Russell was in his final sector. That's when he shot up to a really good position actually. Because if you look at it, he was about to finish about 8th or 9th, and then he completely shot up straight to 2nd. I think he's starting 2nd tomorrow if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, he's starting 2nd. So
yes.
the way he ended the qualifiers was unbelievable as well, and I gotta give credit where it's due. In terms of Ferrari, I was very poor qualifiers, but you kind of expected it. In the last, it was the final sector or the second sector in one of the races that in one of the laps that Ferrari just didn't overcome, because you guys saw that in one of them it was a very, very slow pace race, right? If I'm not mistaken, in the first few sectors, right? Okay, I'll start again. My bad. What I mean by this is because there's not as much straights as you guys think, right? The straights is not there's not many straights. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think Ferrari today used that as an advantage or as a way to sort of get into good track position for tomorrow. Go and look at, I think it was the final few minutes, final few seconds, where Lewis Hamilton just did not do well on the second sector, and so did Charles Leclerc, and that's why both of them finished in a position where they both deserve to finish. If I'm being honest, I don't think you can really argue with how it went, and you can pretty much just say it was an error from both of them, as well as I think maybe you could say the team as well for not giving them not strategically giving them the right sort of plan for the qualifying. if you know what I mean. I can't really explain it in terms of like that, but I explained how I could. But King, I'll go to you next. Go on, bro. Just wanted to say my point, but I don't know if I really said much about on the situation, but you can continue from that. You're on mute, bro.
In qualifying, it's what I expected. I think the only thing that surprised me was probably George. you expect Max to outperform his car, so the front three for me, I thought was going to be the two McLarens and the Red Bull. I think George, right at the end, was able to add an extra couple, temps onto his lap time. I think it was one of the one in a lifetime kind of laps where he just caught it in the right moment at the end of Q3 that got him that second position. I think it's a false position for him because I don't think he's going to keep it throughout the race. It's going to be very difficult for him. In terms of the Ferraris, I just think they made changes to the setup and also the changing in conditions of the track as well. You could tell that there was extra gusts of wind, and these cars are very finicky. So both Charles and Lewis were talking about how it became difficult to drive the car. I think those extra gusts of winds makes it hard to kind of turn and every corner. I think the problem wasn't the straights. The problems were the corners because if you're unable to turn as quick as others, then you lose the extra temps in terms of the lap time. So I think overall it was what I expected. I just think George had a lap of a lifetime. I think Max did what he was meant to do, be behind both the McLarens. Hadja performed really well to be ahead of Kimi in the Mercedes as well. So for me, I think in terms of lap times that kind of exceeded expectations was Hadja to be ahead of Kimi and George to get that P2. I think it was unexpected from him, and it's going to be very interesting when the race, depending on the conditions, because obviously when it comes to these cars, they're very flimsy. So any kind of little gust of wind, any little bit of like extra piece can affect these cars. And I think the Ferraris were affected the most in terms of the corners, and that's probably what lost him the time. But yeah, again, Lando Norris didn't do the perfect lap. I think he should have been P1. I think he's made mistakes all weekend. I think George had one of those once in a lifetime laps, and yeah, I think he's probably the only one who I think is in a false position compared to what I expected out of the qualifying. Him and Hadja, as I said. So yeah, I just think if we're being honest, it's the two McLarens and the Red Bull, the two Ferraris, the two Mercedes, and then the two Racing Bulls, and then you got the rest competing for the rest of the positions. But it's going to be very interesting to see if Hadja can keep Kimi behind him and if George can keep that P2, because especially if he has a poor start as well, I think he's going to be one of those cars that keeps going back and back and back. And yeah, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I think if I was the one driver who'd be disappointed the most is Lando Norris, because I think he's the only one that's not performing to the level at the moment. Everyone else, I think, would be okay with their lap times.
Liam, over to you.
Well, I think the the key factor that's going to be going into lap one of the race is the driver's reaction to when the lights go off, because you can see that when it comes to racing, Max, I'm going to mention Max again, sorry, but he's one of those drivers that before even the lights go out, he immediately knows when to press the gas, the pedal on his car. Because when you have the right reaction time at the right moment, you're already going to be a couple of seconds advantageous ahead of other drivers who are currently behind you on the grid. But in terms of Ferrari, I think they're going to be going for, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is going to be a two pit stop strategy for the race. But I think that they're going to be starting with the medium tires, and they're probably going to be ending either on the hard tires or on the soft tires. But I think more beneficially in a way that it's going to benefit them more in the terms of the race and how it pans out is that I think they should start with mediums and end with hards, because as you can see, the softs, if you start with them at the beginning, they can only last you, let's say, 25 to 30 laps, whereas you go on the mediums, you can go until like lap 32 maximum, lap 35. But if you end on the hard tires, then Lewis Hamilton will be able to execute either a P1 finish or a P2 finish. But I'm really, really confident. I hope that Ferrari will choose the right strategy this time, and that Lewis Hamilton's engineer is gonna let Lewis Hamilton do what he usually does and just goes for it. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
I thought you were taking the piss. You
No.
choose Ferrari to win tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm genuinely wanting Ferrari to win tomorrow. I'm going to be emphasizing by the movement of my head, Augustia. Yes, I'm genuinely
Augustia?
wanting to win.
Augustia, the statement is true. Even if you support McLaren, even if you support Mercedes, everyone is a Ferrari fan. And it's true.
There we go. There we
It's
go.
true.
If
It's
you think
true.
wait, Ekevin, if you think certain people that we know are jinxes, I'm not going to mention any names. They may start with a K, Ekevin. Certain people you know. If you think they're jinxes, Liam is another jinx.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Ekevin?
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. We all know. We all know who he is.
So should I mention his name?
No need.
Out of respect, because he's an awful like he should be locked up for being such a bad jinxer.
No,
And
it's okay. It's okay. There's no safe space for jinxers on AN Sports.
So Liam, by the way, is a bigger jinx. Man supported Liverpool. What happened last week, or the week before? Out of the Champions League, lost in the World Cup final.
I don't like defending Liverpool, but I don't like defending them cunts, but they're top of the league. So
I know, but I mean, he like supported them again just that week, and look what happened. Look what happened to
the question is here. Where's Man United? Where's Man United again? Where are they again? Just tell me. I forgot. Sorry. Oh yeah, you guys are 13th. Why? Because you guys are not good enough. I'm sorry, but it's gonna be Liverpool this time, boys. It's gonna be Liverpool.
No, you know what? Why don't you support United? You'll reverse jinx us. Cancels out, right?
No. I reverse jinx becoming a Celtics fan now. I'm sticking to that. I'm not gonna do the same thing with Liverpool, mate. No.
Actually, yes. Please become a Celtics fan. You have my full permission. Become a Celtics fan every time they play the Lakers.
I don't require permission to become a bandwagon. That's what I am. That's what I am.
No. You should become a Celtics fan. Every time they play the Lakers, voila. Lakers, forget King. We say Lakers in 5. Forget Lakers in 5, man. Lakers in 4 then. Or UFC, KFC, PGA, it don't matter. Lakers in 4. That's what it is. So,
Wow. What a statement.
it'll come true, man. It's not a statement. It's not a prediction. It's a prophecy.
It's an understatement.
I've got a prediction. McLaren 1-2 unless they mess up.
I've got a response. I completely agree with you. McLaren 1-2, yes.
I think a Ferrari will be third. I don't think Max is gonna beat like this race too much.
I'm gonna go with the Ferrari 1 and 2 tomorrow.
Whoa.
Same here.
I'm delusional. You know me. I'm delusional. I love to back my teams.
Makes sense. I mean, Delulu is the Lulu for Lulu, so that's what they say on social media, right?
No, I'm kidding. I think Lewis will win the race tomorrow. But I don't think Leclerc will come second. I think it'll be Oscar. It'll be Max potentially. It'll be George. Even George Russell, you could give credit. You can maybe say can come second.
Is our universe broken? I know we've had a lot of crazy things happen, but I would have never thought Ekevin of all people posted Lewis Hamilton post on his story. I saw it in the morning. I was like, my eyes deceiving.
I mentioned this before. Yeah, no matter who races for Ferrari, it could literally be Michael Schumacher's biggest rival. I will support you. I am a Ferrari fan first and foremost. I am a Ferrari fan, and I want Ferrari to win. I don't care who races for Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton. I really don't give a shit. No, I really don't care. You race
but like you tell me that 12 months ago before you signed that contract, I would have thought admit you into the hospital, like get a mental checkup, get a new brain. Like if anyone told me Ekevin would post a Hamilton post on his story, like that's so absurd. Like you've been such a big Hamilton critic over the years, so it's like what's next?
Michael Schumacher is still my GOAT. Nothing will change, but I'm gonna back you if you're racing for Ferrari, mate. So
who knows? Maybe your next post is Messi's the GOAT, right?
No way. No.
He is. Messi is the GOAT.
Yeah, obviously. That's subjectively fact, yeah.
No, he's not.
We'll save that subject for another day.
Who's the GOAT? Wait, who's the GOAT?
Ronaldo's the GOAT.
Thank you.
Bro is waffling. Bro has got a PhD from the University of Yapping. That's for the
Wow.
boys.
Coming from you, buddy. Coming from you.
Ronaldo's not even in my top 5, to be honest.
He's not in my top 3, no.
Not mine either.
No, and that's not mocking him. He's one of the greatest players ever.
He's
And
not your top 3 players of all time.
no, he's not. No, we'll have that conversation. I'm happy to defend that opinion, but I would have Messi, Maradona, and Pele ahead of him. I personally would. And I mean, Messi, for me, Messi is no doubt most titles, most golden boots, most golden balls. I mean, dude is leading by almost every single statistic. He has more man of the match awards than I think 2 and 3 combined. Like Messi is nuts. Messi's on a different level. And you look at his ability in individual carry jobs, there's no conversation. But we'll save that for another time. Although even though that debate will last like 1 minute, be first round knockout.
5 minutes.
No. I lost shorter than that, and yeah.
I'll let Augusta finish his waffle, then I'll step in.
No waffle, man. Just a fax machine. That's what
I do got to say something in terms of predictions for the race.
Yeah, go
I
on. We
think
forgot.
I think in terms of the race, it's going to be 2 McLarens and the Ferrari in the podium. I think Max is finishing 5th, maybe even 6th.
Nah, I don't see it.
I think just because his car's race tire degradation for that race for that Red Bull is terrible, and for me the Mercedes seemed a better driving car than his car. And then I think the 2 Ferraris will be ahead of him, and I think the 2 McLarens will be ahead of him.
I'd argue only George Russell's better. Only George Russell has a great chance of winning tomorrow in terms of Mercedes, but I don't see Max Verstappen finishing behind George Russell tomorrow.
No, I don't. I think he's going to be behind the 2 McLarens and the 2 Ferraris. I think even George might go back down as well, based on the sprint.
I don't think so, man. What we saw yesterday in qualifiers, hey.
I'm about the sprint in terms of the way the cars actually tire decked and everything. The McLarens and the Ferraris were the best with tire deck. The Mercedes and Red Bull wasn't, in my opinion.
Put it this way, I think if there are no collisions or incidents, Max's floor is 6th. That's what his floor is.
Yeah, I don't think he finishes top 3. I don't. I think his car, as good of a driver he is, he's going to be done out by tire degradation. That's going to be his flaw. He's going to be able to stay there, but then there's going to be a point where he falls back and he's going to get overtaken.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened in the sprint. He stayed there, then the tire deg went away, and it went away real quick for that Red Bull. So,
fair enough. I mean, it's your prediction at the end of the day. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna say you're wrong or delusional, but it's just I just don't see Max Verstappen finishing that low tomorrow. I just think that you know what it is. It's a different circumstance, different race. Sprints, I can understand it. In terms of the race itself, the way Max has started the year, I don't know if we can really go against him. I know he's not had the best of cars in the past in the past race, but it's about mindset, right? And Max has the best mindset. If you ask me in terms of mentality, in terms of how to get over the line, it's Max, and I won't bet against him. It's hard to bet against Max Verstappen nowadays. Even when he was on a mad 5-month losing streak, if that's what you want to say, even last year. So yeah, but that's all I gotta say from my part. Anyone want to say anything more before we wrap up? King, I guess you gave your predictions, right?
Yeah, I went with a McLaren 1 and 2, and optimistically, I'll back you, King. If he gets a good race start, I think Hamilton in 3rd.
My top 3 is Lewis, Max, and George Russell. I think Piastri falls off slightly tomorrow.
For me, I would say Lewis, Lando Norris, and George Russell.
An all Brit podium, huh? Are you going to change your passport to British after tomorrow if that happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Boston Celtics passport / Ferrari fan passport on the cover of the passport, so they know.
Actually, do you know which team has a bright future? I think you should go support them.
Which team?
Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I completely
No,
agree. With
I'm serious. They do. They have a bright future. They have a bright future, man. Trust me. You should.
A bright future without Luca is what you're saying. Without Luca, you're saying that they have a
Hey, they
bright.
still have Kyrie and AD, man. Don't worry. They'll be
for
back
what,
in
20 games a season?
Yeah, they'll be back in no
50
time,
games.
man. They'll be back in no time, bro. No worries, man. No stress. They'll be
No,
good, man.
but you know what? The Mavericks do have the best in the whole league. They have the best GM. So I mean, that's something to think about. Nico Harrison, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. He's a top GM.
I mean, yeah, he's on. He thinks he's onto something, but he's just on something. That's what he is.
Yep, 100%, 100%. But do you have anything left to say before we wrap up?
No, I mean,
Dark horses? Any dark horses?
Dark horses for what? For an impressive race or the race victory?
I play
Impressive race.
Lando Norris.
I think it has to be one of the white Red Bulls, right? Because they have pace. I think they're the 5th quickest car on the grid right now in terms of pace. And I think Hadjar. Let's go Hadjar. Yeah.
Lewis. I'm gonna go Lewis. I have confidence in Lewis.
I said Lewis to win the race, but in terms of like an outsider chance, Lando.
Does he count as an outsider chance? He's the championship leader, man.
No, because like I said, bro, qualifiers do not determine the whole fortune of tomorrow. They're not going to determine the whole fortunes of what's going to happen tomorrow. I think it's going to be more of how they start. It's about how you start and and which DRS favors who. Because if it favors Lewis Hamilton, he's going to shoot right to the top. We've seen his pace in the sprints. He can definitely,
No, I think you're right. I think race start's important, and who gets outside of DRS range as well. I think that's going to be even more important, right? Because
because we've seen how Lewis Hamilton held off his opponents today from the front. So I'm interested to see how he's going to overtake them tomorrow, or if he has a chance of overtaking them tomorrow. I'm interested to see in that. But sorry, continue what you're saying, Gus. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. I think, again, getting out of DRS range is going to be really, really important. And also flirting with that range, doing what Hamilton did, doing what Sainz has done. Flirt with that range. Allow the driver behind you to get in that range. Allow them to grade their tires. Allow them to drain their tires. Allow them to degrade their tires as you can, again, recharge the batteries up as well. So it's chess. It's chess, not checkers. You're playing chess tomorrow. And as Hamilton correctly said, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So I wouldn't expect fireworks from Ferrari tomorrow. I don't. But you can't write it off because Hamilton's comfortable. But he needs a quick race start. He needs to start off quick because there aren't many overtaking opportunities in Shanghai.
Yeah, fair enough. Last thoughts? Anyone? Quick last thoughts? Okay.
Yeah, Kimmy's going to be a dark horse for me. I think he's going to be someone to look at. Be interesting to see how his race start is. And he can be a big problem to the Ferraris if he has a good race start as well. He can pretty much effectively end their race if he gets ahead of them.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think we'll close out here. Like I said, thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for 155 subs, but let's get up to 160. I think by the end of March. But March ends in 6 days, 7 days. So yeah, let's get the subscribers up. Guys, thank you guys for coming on today. I'll definitely see you guys after the race tomorrow. I think what was it like? So you want to do the race review afterwards, or you want to do it same time later at night?
It's up to you, man. I'm fine with any time, to be honest.
I think we'll do I think we'll do tomorrow afternoon if you want
Cool.
to go still.
All right,
So-
sounds good.
After
What
the
time?
race tomorrow, we'll just do a quick 1 hour and a half review, sorry, and we'll preview next week or something.
4:30 p.m. BKK, 10:30
No.
a.m. 9:30.
What time does the race end, you think?
We'll end it around 4, so 4:30, right?
Actually, we can do tomorrow night, I think. Tomorrow night sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's more convenient to be honest.
I'll discuss with you guys again, but yeah, we'll close out here. Like and subscribe.